As you can see, we are presenting tonight's show in the form of a radio broadcast, and in the best traditions of radio drama, I am the warm-up man. Now, unfortunately, this is not the BBC, and therefore we couldn't afford anybody funny. And so just to reinforce that, I've got a couple of announcements I have to make. If any of you laugh so much that you burst into flames, could the rest of you make your way out to the fire exit, which you can find through the bar that way, and out the way you came? Please leave the person who's burning there. The other trap we've set for you is that there's a wire across the floor just in front of the ladies' loo. Just telling the gentlemen that if you want to encourage them to go. My third announcement is for those of you who are of a nervous disposition, there will be a number of loud noises in the second act. That doesn't, well, I'd like you to stay till the second act, obviously. But there will be some loud noises. Okay, well, my job as warm-up man is to introduce you to the cast. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the play. It's actually about a small amateur dramatic company called the Off the Wall Theatre Company. And they have all sorts of problems. In particular, one of them is their director, called Jonathan, who's an egomaniac. And aren't they all? But Jonathan is given the chance to create the masterpiece that he's always wanted to write. And this is the story of what happens when he does it. So let me introduce tonight's cast to you. Well, now I've warmed up your clapping muscles. I would encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, as is this the very first performance of Big Idea in front of a living audience. Sorry, I didn't say that. What I actually meant was, this show has been recorded as a podcast. Now, for those of you who don't know what a podcast is, it's a radio broadcast that you upload onto the internet, and everybody in the world can download it and listen to it. We actually have had some very nice emails from people all over the world. One of them said about my writing, "Don't give up." But no, what they'd actually said was, "Don't give up your day job." But anyway, a podcast. So the thing about podcasts is, in order to listen to them, you've either got to have a computer or you've got to have one of these. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an iPod. For those of you who've never seen one, it's a bit like a Walkman in that you can store music on it, or in our case, podcasts. Now, I tell you this so that you won't be confused. When Jack, the chairman of the Off the Wall Theatre Company, arrives early at the small village hall where they rehearse, so that he can play with his latest technological toy. Funnily enough, an iPod. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Big Idea.
What is it?
It's an iPod.
Yes, of course it is, Anne. I knew that.
Nice, isn't it?
Anne, much as I hate to ask, what's an iPod?
Oh, it's an MP3 player.
Of course it is.
Right.
Anne, what's an MP3?
It's an MP3 player.
Yes, Jack!
Sorry. It's like a Walkman.
At last, a word I recognised. So it plays music. Where do you put the discs?
It doesn't use discs. You have to spend hours downloading stuff off the internet.
So what's the big deal?
You don't need discs. You download stuff from the internet. And it doesn't have to be music.
Right. I didn't know they were making audio pornography these days. I could talk dirty to you for nothing if you like.
No, you don't understand.
Joke, Jack.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm losing my sense of humour.
So, why are we meeting tonight?
Jack's got an announcement to make. After the success of The Importance of Being Earnest, our next show is going to be a bit different.
We obviously have different definitions of the word success, Anne. So, how is this next show going to be different?
Oh yes, very different. Something we haven't attempted before.
There are lots of shows we haven't attempted before.
No, you don't understand. I don't mean that we haven't done it before. Well, we haven't, but I mean... No, you'll just have to wait until later.
Story of my life, Anne.
And mine.
Ah, here come the troops. Right, everyone. Thank you for coming early. Just a short announcement. Something exciting has turned up. Well, I hope you'll think it's exciting. At least it's to do with Jonathan.
He's been run over by a bus.
Jumped out of an aeroplane.
No, nothing like that.
Pity we could do with a new producer.
No, that's very uncharitable, Richard.
Yeah, but true.
Not at all. Just because you don't agree with his methods...
It's not that, Jack. He's just hopeless. Couldn't direct his way out of a paper bag.
Now, everyone, this is not why I called you here early this evening.
So what is it, Jack? I'm waiting to be excited over here, but so far the only thing remotely exciting is Sharon's new cardigan.
Barney, behave yourself. You're not here to discuss Sharon's new cardigan.
Do you like it?
Oh.
It's a bit large.
It keeps me really warm.
Oh yes.
I'll get in there with you. I'm feeling a bit cold myself.
Oh, have you quite finished? Now, about Jonathan. I know he's not here, but he was quite happy for me to tell you about his exciting news.
He's emigrating!
No, he is not emigrating.
He's giving up the theatre!
Oh, stop it, all of you. The surprise is that he has been asked to write a play.
A play? What sort of play?
A stage play, I understand.
Now, what idiot would ask him to write a play?
An idiot from the BBC, apparently, Aggie.
Really? Why would they do that? There are plenty of talented people out there who can write things. Why would they ask Jonathan?
If you just listen. It seems that Jonathan was at university with someone called Alistair Pilkington, who joined the BBC and is now something to do with a new series they're making about people who do extraordinary things.
Then why aren't they making it about Richard?
I don't understand.
Well, he's done something really extraordinary.
What?
Well, how many people do you know who join the Mile High Club on a number 10 bus? That's what I call extraordinary.
No, really, Barney, this is not a joke.
No, and neither was that.
Yes, all right. Everyone settle down. It seems that Jonathan's greatest ambition is to write a play, and that's what the television series is all about. The BBC give the opportunity for individuals to make their greatest ambition come true, and they make a program about it. Apparently it's called Big Idea.
So what's that got to do with us, Jack?
Ah, you see, the ambition can't be one which you could achieve by spending lots of money. Otherwise, everyone who had the ambition to, say, go to the South Pole would be eligible.
I didn't know Jonathan wanted to go to the South Pole.
He doesn't.
But you said... No, he didn't. That's just wishful thinking on our part. I've always wanted to go to the South Pole. It's not very impressive, Doris. It's only 3 feet high. Your washing line is more interesting.
Oh, is it? I thought it would be bigger.
That's what I always say. Now shut up. Jack, I still don't see where we come in.
Thank you, Aggie. We are part of Jonathan's ambition. He writes the play, we put it on.
I thought you said this was going to be exciting.
Well, it is.
I don't see how. He writes the play, we do all the work, and he gets all the publicity.
No, no. We put on the play, and we get to be on television. Think of the publicity. Think of the audience figures. Think of the new members clamoring to join, to act next to the latest stars of stage, screen, and...
Labour exchange. Have you gone mad, Jack? If they wanted to, they can make us look like a right bunch of idiots.
Oh, I'm sure they wouldn't do that, Robert.
I've seen some of these documentaries these people come up with, and I wouldn't be too sure, Jack.
Look, can we stop being so negative and look at it as an opportunity and not a threat? If any of you have any aspirations to further your careers in the acting field, then this is a perfect opportunity for you. You never know who will be watching out there.
Oh yes, someone might discover me.
We've already discovered you.
And claimed you for the British Empire.
Well, as long as neither one of you tries to plant a flag. Why don't you two be serious for once? Sharon's quite right. Someone might very well discover her. It's happened before. World famous models have been spotted just walking down the street. Being on the telly's got to increase your chances no end.
Suppose so, but there's no chance for us.
Yes, there is. Just think what happened to Buster Merrifield.
Who's he?
Well, he used to be a bank manager until he retired, and then he decided to become a professional actor. Everyone thought he was crazy. What chance did he have? But it happened.
What?
Well, the chap who played the grandfather in Only Fools and Horses died, and who got the replacement job as the uncle? Buster Merrifield. There's hope for you two yet, lads.
Not sure about this.
Oh, go on. What have you got to lose?
I don't know. What about you?
I don't see why not. How much more foolish could I look than when I played the back end of the cow in the pantomime?
But nobody knew you were the back end of the cow.
No, not until you tried to milk me.
Gentlemen, have you quite finished? In my opinion, we have an opportunity to bring the group to the attention of the public, whether or not we look foolish. I think all that matters is that we look as though we're having fun.
What, in a Jonathan production?
Oh, fake it, darling, as Alfred Hitchcock once said.
I've never had to fake it before. I usually perform with people who...
Yes. Now, as there are some dissenters, shall we take a vote? All in favour? Against? Good. We have a majority. I'm sure Jonathan will be delighted that you're all going to support him in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
By the way, Jack, what's the play?
Do you know? I'm not sure.
Well, hasn't he told you?
Well, no.
Well, I'd find out a bit quick, Jack. You could be thinking of all sorts of things. What was that famous stage direction? Hannibal crosses the Alps on his elephants.
And look what happened when Wagner had free rein with his ideas. Flying horses, naked women swimming in midair.
You're not seriously suggesting he might have some extravagant...
Yes, Jack. The man was almost a certifiable megalomaniac before this. Goodness knows what he'd be like now.
Yes, Tony? Yes, I know it's difficult. Yes, I know. I am aware of the lighting difficulties and the sound. But that's what you get paid for. Trust me, it'll be fine. Have I ever let you down before? That's right. Okay. Okay, listen, I'll ring you later if there's any more information, okay? Yes, I'll make sure the briefcase is pointing in the right direction. Bye.
Alistair, darling, there you are. How was the traffic?
Impossible as ever. Nice to see you, Jonathan. So, how have you been getting on?
Oh, the play, you mean? Slowly, darling. You've no idea how difficult it is having to simplify the whole thing so those idiots will be able to play it. Are you sure we have to use the Off-the-Ball Theatre group?
I'm afraid you do, Jonathan. It's the whole part of the deal, you see. The whole idea of the Big Idea series is to show the individual's struggle to achieve his greatest ambition. But without any unfair advantages. I mean, if we gave you the Royal Shakespeare to play with, what challenge would there be in that? But to use an amateur group, the group that you work with day in, day out, warts and all, now that really is a challenge. That will really make good viewing for us all.
Well, I suppose so.
I mean, how would it have been if Michael Palin had gone everywhere on his travels in a private jet? Just wouldn't have been the same show now, would it?
No, I suppose not. But it would have been just so nice to have been able to use some real actors for a change.
But just think of it. If this comes off, your next show could well be in the West End, you know.
Do you really think so?
Of course, I'm sure of it. Now, how far have you got with the script?
Well, I finished the first draft, but I'm not particularly happy with it.
Did you bring a copy for me?
Yes, on this disc.
Fine, I'll look forward to reading it later. Now, more importantly, are you confident that you can make the schedule we talked about?
Well...
You've got to be absolutely certain, Jonathan. There are expensive resources to be booked, equipment to be allocated to the project, cameramen, sound recordists, editing technicians and so on. We can't have them sitting around with nothing to do just because you're not satisfied with the latest draft. Time is still money, you know.
But I need to produce my best work. Oh, I can't produce a masterpiece under this pressure.
Sure you can, Jonathan.
No, really, I need more time.
We're on a really tight schedule here. Don't let us down, Jonathan.
No, of course.
I'll be seeing you soon. And remember, this is your big idea and your big chance.
Yes. Yes.
You don't sound quite as sure as you did earlier, Jack.
No, I'm sure it's the right thing to do. It's just something Barney has said that worried me. I hadn't thought to ask what Jonathan was writing. What if he comes up with something that we just aren't up to performing?
Like what, Jack?
Well, that's the trouble. I don't know.
I just don't understand. What could he possibly come up with that we couldn't perform? You must have something in mind.
It's not so much that we couldn't perform it, just so long as it's in English, of course. It's more that we might not be able to do it justice. What about costumes? What if it needs really elaborate costumes? What about the set? Could we afford to hire a really complicated set? What if it needs special effects, pyrotechnics?
Jack, if you start thinking like that, you'll go mad. You just need to ask him.
Who?
Jonathan. He's written it by now. He must know what's involved. In fact, I'm sure he will have written it with us in mind.
You are?
Of course. Wouldn't you?
Well, yes, but I'm not Jonathan.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Do I dare ring him?
I think you should, just to put your mind at rest.
Right. I'll do that then.
It'll be a disaster.
I think you're right.
Oh, I don't know. It might be fun.
One of Jonathan's shows ever been fun.
Yeah, alright, I take your point. Well, last show we did was fun, though.
Yeah, Jonathan didn't direct it.
Yeah, right. Why can't they all be like that?
What, like the importance of being earnest?
Didn't you know Jonathan refused to direct Ernest?
Why?
Well, if I remember the conversation, it had something to do with the fact that, in Jonathan's opinion, Oscar Wilde only wrote one work that Jonathan regarded as sufficiently serious to even bother to read.
And that was?
The Ballad of Reading Jail.
No, never heard of it.
In other words, sweetheart, the fact that Ernest was hysterically funny and the audience loved it ruled it out as being insufficiently intellectual for Jonathan to pay any attention to. As far as Jonathan was concerned, it was on the same level as a Brian Ricks farce.
Well, that bodes well for his play, then.
Looking on the bright side, it could be brilliant. On the other hand, it's unlikely.
My Uncle George wrote a play once. Oh, yes. It had a funny title. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was about a man who had a bet that he could turn a young Cockney flower girl into a princess.
That was My Fair Lady.
No, it wasn't that. It was something about a pig.
Sure.
Yes, that was the name.
Sure. As I was saying, I find it hard to believe that Jonathan has sufficient originality to write anything of his own. From my experience, he's no sense of humour, no understanding of character, and can't string more than 2 words together into a coherent sentence, unless he's shouting or complaining, that is.
And you forgot to mention, no imagination.
So I did.
So what's it likely to be then?
I'm good, Clue.
Not me.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. In the meantime, mine's half whoever's buying.
Yeah, and mine's a large one.
Yeah, so you keep telling me.
Sharon's, I think. Where is she?
I don't know, she was here just now. Did she say when she was going?
Don't remember. She's just trying to avoid buying around, I expect.
Do you really think she's likely to get spotted?
Sorry.
You know, discovered.
No idea. She is lovely.
We know that.
Depends on whether the camera likes her or not.
Sorry?
Well, it depends on whether she looks good on the screen.
Oh, she'd look good anyway.
No, not necessarily. The camera distorts things, but there are some people who just suit the screen.
She may be one of them. What would it mean to her?
Look, we haven't made this thing yet. I think it's a bit early to be planning Sharon's screen career.
It's a shame to lose her.
Oh, don't even think about it. Don't forget this is a Jonathan production. That's a bit like being on board the Titanic. You might think it's unsinkable, but there's sure to be an iceberg there somewhere. Well, what did he say?
You won't believe this.
Why not?
You know what we were afraid of?
Well, no, I don't actually.
That he might go off the rails a bit.
And has he?
You could put it like that.
Are you going to tell me, or do I have to guess?
If I gave you 1,000 guesses, you wouldn't get it.
Really? Why not?
Because, my dear, he has chosen not to write anything original, but to adapt someone else's work.
Is that bad?
Well, it needn't have been.
But...
If only he hadn't chosen this particular piece.
Why, Jack? Don't keep me in suspense. What is it?
Only the most famous play ever.
Jack, what is it? Hamlet? What? Did you say Hamlet? He said Hamlet. Jack, you can't be serious. But why? Is the original good enough for him? No. Well... right. Oh, I suppose so, but really, Jack, Hamlet. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Hamlet.
Hamlet. Apparently, Jonathan has always wanted to rewrite it. To explore in more depth Hamlet's state of mind as he pretends to descend into madness.
I didn't know he descended into madness. I thought he said to be or not to be, and then everyone got killed in a big fight.
Could have summed it up better myself.
Yeah, but if that wasn't enough, he wants to delve into the irreconcilable mental conflict between the medieval concept of absolute parental authority and the Renaissance ideal of romantic love, implicit in Ophelia's inevitable suicide.
Right.
Oh, and there's a ghost.
Oh, yeah, the ghost, that's right. Who's he then? Is that Ophelia?
Don't you know? I'm sure there is one somewhere, no?
You two are hopeless, you really are. The whole play is about the conflict between Hamlet's desire for honourable revenge and his conscience, which stops him from taking a human life.
Is it? How do you know that?
I did it at A-level.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
What?
So am I.
Seems to me you ought to be writing this play, not Jonathan.
Don't be ridiculous. Just because I remembered a little bit about it.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah.
But I could if I wanted to. Well, probably.
Yes, of course you could. Don't take any notice of these reprobates, just because they haven't got a creative bone in their bodies.
I have a right shoulder blade. People come miles to see.
Yeah, right. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, on presentation of visiting card.
See?
Yeah, having a good memory is not the same thing as being creative.
Can you tell me what you're all talking about? I don't know anything about Hamlet. Is there a part for me in it?
That should make a great Ophelia.
Oh, it's a girl.
It wouldn't matter what she said. The audience would all be convinced she was as mad as a hatter.
And she'd look fantastic.
Would I?
Oh, yeah. You always do.
Oh, thank you, Barney.
You look absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, stop it. You little pervert. You've not got time for that sort of thing. Don't you see we've got a problem?
Problem?
Yes, a problem. Put yourself in Jonathan's position. Someone, some idiot, has encouraged him to rewrite the greatest play ever written in the English language. Big mistake. You know what he's like. He was arrogant before. Can you imagine what he's going to be like now? And where does that leave us? At the sharp end of it, that's where. He's going to expect us to be able to interpret Hamlet like the Royal Shakespeare Company. And you have just convincingly demonstrated that your artistic abilities are confined to things like walk 3 paces forward, pick up chair, smile inanely at audience and leave the stage. Preferably without falling arse over tip.
I see what you mean.
I don't. Isn't that how all actors do it?
No, of course it is, and some of them use the method.
What the hell is that?
Well, it's the method, isn't it?
Is that like the rhythm method?
No, Sharon. Method acting is when the actor tries to experience the feelings and emotions of the character by thinking himself into similar situations. Or in extreme versions, actually putting themselves through the actual experience.
Beyond me, I'm afraid. How the hell can you experience being the Prince of Denmark? How could Sharon experience going mad?
Well, I thought I was going mad once. I walked up and down, up and down, up and down all over the place thinking.
Really? That must have been a shock for me.
And then I remembered where I'd left them.
What, your marbles?
No, my khakis, silly.
I told you she'd be perfect.
Listen, I just remembered. There's someone else in Hamlet, isn't there?
There are a lot of people in Hamlet.
There's some bloke called Yorick.
In fact, there are far more people than we have in the company.
Yeah, which means we'd be doubling parts.
If not trebling.
Ah, 3 sevens.
But that's good, isn't it? I mean, it means everyone gets to play at least one part.
I'm sure I could work it out logically, but there are very few women's parts in Hamlet. So it means a lot of the minor men's parts will have to be played by women.
Oh, that's good. I always wanted to play the part of a man.
Richard, why have you gone pale?
Nothing. So, what's Yorick like as a part then?
Perfect for you, darling. No lines, he's a skeleton.
Of course, there's always Horatio.
Now Nelson was a ladies' man. He drove Lady Hamilton wild. He only had one eye, one arm, one leg, because he was chopped in half as a child.
Not that, Horatio.
Oh, sorry.
Where the hell did that come
Oh,
from?
this is party piece. Please don't encourage him. There's about 20 verses.
Spoiled sport. So, what about Hamlet?
Hamlet. A little ham.
No, Hamlet, a little pig.
And Sharon could be starlet. A little star.
Oh.
Or in Richard's case, omelette, little Frenchman.
Just come
Tartlet. Hey, little tart.
Watch it.
We've got to be prepared for this. I can just imagine what Jonathan will be after for the auditions.
What?
Oh, probably your life history. All about your family, where you live, your position in society.
Well, he knows all that.
Oh, not yours, you idiot, your character.
But how are we supposed to know that? I thought that was his job, to tell us.
Oh, look, this is Hamlet we're talking about. He'll expect you to know all the basics to start with, before he starts adding on layers of his own nonsense.
But I don't know it at all. How can I do that? I haven't got time.
Well, listen, there's an old trick I heard once. If the director asks you about your life history, you give him the story of the last character you played.
Right. So I could talk about Algernon Moncrief. Yeah, I see, but it won't have anything to do with Hamlet.
Well, you'd have to modify it a bit, but you can keep the basics the same. And if the director thinks that what you've said is a bit odd, you just explain that it's your interpretation from your researches so far. And you're sure that the two of you can come to some common understanding.
Oh, I don't think I can do that.
Why not?
My last part was the back end of Daisy the Cow. In the pantomime.
Personally, I can't wait to see what sort of shambles he's managed to make out of Hamlet. I can't wait to see what this idiot from the Beeb is. What's his name?
Alistair, wasn't it?
I just can't believe that anyone in their right mind would trust Jonathan with such a project. I wonder what he's got on him.
Tony, can you hear me? Right. Tell me where you want me to stand. Right, here okay? Good, good. Is the picture okay? Right, fine. Are you alright for sound? Okay. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. To be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes, or to take arms against a sea of troubles.
Hello.
Oh, hello. My name's Alistair.
Barney.
Just checking the acoustics in here. Make sure they're suitable for the rehearsal.
Oh, yes, of course. So you're Jonathan's friend?
Well, we've known each other since we were in university. More acquaintances than friends, I'd say.
It's a big opportunity.
It certainly is.
For him.
For all of you, I'd say. It's not every day you get to perform in a television drama.
Hi, I'm Richard.
This is Alistair from the BBC.
Ah, yeah, Jonathan's friend.
As I was just telling your friend here, we were at university together. I joined the BBC and we lost touch until recently.
So what were the two of you studying at university?
Well, I was doing media studies, hence the move to the BBC. And as far as I remember, Jonathan was studying to be a vet.
A vet?
Yes. I don't know how he ended up in this game.
Probably couldn't stand the thought of sticking his hand up a cow's bum.
Don't start on about
Yes. So I trust you're looking forward to the project.
Oh, we're looking forward to it enormously. We're sure that Jonathan's new version of Hamlet will be fantastic.
Well, it's not strictly a new version of Hamlet. It's actually told from the point of view of two of the minor characters. Jonathan felt that by doing it from a third-party point of view, he could shed more light on Hamlet's mental decline.
Yeah, right, okay.
Which characters did he choose?
Do you know the play?
Not in depth.
Well, the two are called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I have to confess I've never heard of them myself.
Right. Well, I'm really looking forward to this.
Good, good. Ah, here's the main man.
Alistair, so good of you to come. I see you've met these two. I hope they haven't been subjecting you to their customary juvenile sense of humour.
Oh, we've been having a little chat about the play.
You're wasting your time talking to them. Absolute Philistines. No artistic sentiment whatsoever. You'll see very shortly why using these people is so impossible.
That's the challenge, Jonathan. And don't forget, we're here to support you through the whole process.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe what?
What Jonathan has done.
What?
You heard what the guy said, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah, so what?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, for God's sake.
Well, what about them?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Are they?
Minor characters. In Hamlet.
But they did.
The play will be brilliant.
It will?
Absolutely brilliant.
Why?
It's brilliant. Because it's not by Jonathan.
Well, I know that. It's by Shakespeare.
No, it's by someone else altogether.
Who?
Tom Stoppard.
Never heard of him.
Doesn't matter. It's just that Jonathan has nicked the idea for his play, not just from Shakespeare, but from Tom Stoppard as well. He could be sued for that. Just wait till I tell Aggie and Christine.
I still don't understand.
We can't possibly perform a play that Jonathan has stolen from another author, especially a famous, modern one, and especially not on the television. How did he expect to get away with it?
Well, maybe he didn't know.
Yeah, right.
Well, I didn't.
You've never heard of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern either.
Well, no, but you know.
You mean you think he could have come up with the same idea about how to interpret the most famous play in the world as another world-renowned playwright?
Do I?
It's so ridiculous as to be... Well,
what?
Oh, I've got to tell Jack.
Right, everyone, quiet please. Now, you all know what's been going on. My genius has at last been recognised, and I have been approached by Alistair here to take part in a new television series called Big Idea. My challenge is to write the masterpiece I have always wanted to, and to put it on using the off-the-wall theatre company as the cast. Well, I've completed the first draft of the play and will be distributing copies to everyone tonight, so that you have the chance to read it before the auditions on Friday. But for more details, let me pass you over to Alistair.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's a great pleasure to be doing this series, as you can imagine. I get to see a whole series of people get the chance to do something they've always wanted to do, and to support them in their efforts. For this particular challenge, we'll be filming the performance at your local theatre, after your rehearsal period, which I have to tell you is very short. The programme is scheduled to go out later in the year, together with the others in the series, and I hope you will be among the many who will enjoy watching. As Jonathan said, we have copies of the first draft of the play here, and I hope you'll all collect one on your way out. The play is based on Hamlet by William Shakespeare. And in the auditions on Friday, we'll be asking you about yourselves, and about the characters you're auditioning for, so that we'd be grateful if you could read the scripts to give you an idea of what we expect.
Jonathan,
Yes, Jack?
this play, I hear it's based on Hamlet as seen by Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
That's right, Jack. It seemed...
It's been done, Jonathan.
What?
There's already a play about Hamlet based on those two characters. It's called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and it was written by Tom Stoppard.
What? Who? What? No, I have no idea.
That doesn't matter now, but you can't lose the idea. You'll be sued.
But I...
You'll be ruined, financially and artistically.
But it's my masterpiece.
You'll have to rewrite it from another perspective. There is no alternative.
But why didn't Alistair say something? He said it was a great idea.
Oh, it is a great idea. Only it's not yours.
Oh my God, what shall I do? Jack, you've got to help me.
Yes, of course. Look, it's only a first draft, so it can be changed, right? Don't say anything to anyone tonight, but you'd better come up with another version by Friday.
Yes, of course. Oh my God, we'd better tell Alistair.
What's that, Jonathan? Oh, I see, really? I had no idea. No, that's fine, that's fine. Everyone, as I said, you can take your copies of the first draft home with you tonight. But Jonathan has just come up with a new, and I have to say, stunning twist for the play, which will bring a whole new level of creative intensity. He'll have the new version ready for you on Friday. It won't make any difference to your auditions. The characters are all the same ones you know from the original version of Hamlet. So thank you all for your interest, and I look forward to seeing you all on Friday evening.
Why didn't you tell me?
I had no idea, but it's not a problem.
Not a problem. I have to rewrite a complete 3-act play in 2 days.
But it's not so much of a problem as if you'd started rehearsing. The people had learned their lines already.
What?
Be thankful for small mercies. At least we found out in time before it went out on air, and the lawsuit started landing on your doorstep. That could have really been serious for you. Honestly, this is just a small setback, one of many. I'm sure before we get to the final episode.
Final episode?
Just a figure of speech, Jonathan.
I can't believe it. He's actually stolen somebody else's idea.
He said he had no idea.
It's almost incredible that neither he nor that Alistair would have heard of Stoppard's play.
Incredible isn't the word for it.
If he says he didn't steal it, we should take him at his word. After all, it was bound to come out. If they broadcast the play, everyone would have found out straight away. I'm sure Jonathan didn't have a clue.
Yeah, but what about that Alistair? You sure he didn't know anything about it?
What could he have had to gain by embarrassing Jonathan like that?
I suppose he'd have looked just as stupid, I suppose.
Right.
There's something fishy about all this, just the same.
I can't help but agree.
Why wasn't Alistair at all upset about the whole thing? Surely it would have posed a real threat to the whole project.
Who knows? Perhaps he's just one of life's born optimists. But I think we should just go along with it and see what happens. If Jonathan can rewrite the play by Friday, well, there's no problem, is there?
Suppose not.
Aggie?
Not as far as I'm concerned.
Chris?
Fine by me.
I didn't realise he was deaf.
Ooh,
Alistair, he's got a hearing aid.
I see. I didn't notice.
Maybe that's why he hadn't heard of it.
Right.
So, which parts are you all going to audition for?
Well, I thought Yorick.
oh, how bloody hell.
Perfect for you. Need to lose a bit of weight, though.
No, seriously though, I've got to go for Hamlet, haven't I? I mean, how often does an opportunity like that come up, eh?
I thought I'd go for him too. A lot of words, though.
And what about you, Sharon?
Well, Christine says I should audition for Ophelia. She says I should do it in a wetsuit, flippers and a snorkel to show I've read the play.
Orion?
I was joking, you fool.
Well, so you don't think I should dress up like that?
You'd knock their socks off.
You certainly would.
Sharon, darling, I wasn't being serious. Don't take any notice of those two. Just be yourself. On second thoughts, don't be yourself. Try and be Ophelia.
Well, all right. But what's she like?
Well, she would look exactly like you, but she's confused by the fact that her father and brother keep telling her to be a good girl, and Hamlet keeps telling her he wants to go to bed with her. So I suppose...
She could just play it as herself, then.
Of course she should. She'd be perfect for a play that Jonathan has written. Totally confused and incoherent, but beautifully presented.
And what about you, Aggie?
There's only one part I can audition for, Jack.
Queen Gertrude. That's Hamlet's mother, Richard.
Thanks.
Yes. Yes, I can see you in that role.
What, randy unprincipled whore? Oh, Jack. At last.
Yeah, something like that. And what about you, Christine?
Has to be Ophelia, doesn't it?
Why can't you be the randy and principled whore?
Who says Ophelia's not a randy, unprincipled whore?
Oh, I'm really confused now. Is all Shakespeare like this?
Only the good ones.
Apparently some of them are straightforward, even you could understand them.
Oh, you bastard.
What about you, Jack? There are several roles you could audition for.
I suppose there are. The ghost of Hamlet's father, Polonius.
And of course, either of those would get you to the pub early.
Oh, as if I'd consider it.
Then why not Claudius?
If you're not careful, you could end up playing all three.
Oh, too many lines in Claudius, dear. But you're right about playing several parts. We certainly don't have enough men. I suspect this may be young Robert's baptism of fire as far as playing a principal part. You'd make a fine Laertes.
Oh, no, another one I haven't heard of.
Really? You really think so?
However, I don't suppose any of you have given any thought to the fact that Jonathan may have to cut down the number of characters who actually appear in the play.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that, Jack. Has anyone looked at this first draft?
There's not much point in looking at it. The second version won't be anything like it. Yes, think about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Hamlet does appear in it, but he's a very minor part. He could do something like that, in which case Yorick might well play a central role, Richard. And Horatio might well be a one-armed sea captain.
All right, very funny.
Are you happy with the position of this chair, Tony? Nearer the front? Okay, right, I'm ready to go.
Oh, there's no table. Where's the table? Oh, really, they are totally incapable of doing anything properly.
No, I told them we didn't need it.
What?
Well, I felt it was an unnecessary barrier between the actors and the audience.
But there isn't an audience.
Oh, yes, there is. Us. I decided that it would be better if we sat in the stalls. That would give us the opportunity to hear their vocal projection in its true context.
Ah, yes, in its context. Of course. So yeah, I'm rather tired. I've only had 2 hours sleep in the last 3 days, I'm afraid. Do excuse me, cracking up.
You've done a fine job, Jonathan, so far.
But you haven't read it yet.
I'm sure it'll be fine, just perfect, in fact. Now, if we could take our seats in the auditorium, I've set up a microphone so that they can hear us. But I really don't want them to be able to see us.
Fine, whatever you say.
Lights up, please. Right backstage, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Who's first?
Me,
Who's me?
Richard.
Fine, Richard. Yes, you can come out now.
To be or not to be? That is the question. It is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Or to take arms against a sea of troubles.
Yes, Richard, thank you. Yes, it's very interesting.
My God, what does he think he's doing?
We hadn't quite seen Hamlet as Zorro, but
That's the whole thing.
Yes, well, the whole thing ends up in a big sword fight.
yes, it does. But Hamlet doesn't really want to fight.
Doesn't he realise that Hamlet is a man of thought, of contemplation? He's playing it like the silly pirate king.
A big dramatic moment as Hamlet kills all the baddies.
Yeah, I don't think that.
It's Kevin Kline. He thinks he's Kevin Kline. For God's sake, Richard, have you no insight at all? Hamlet isn't a swashbuckling pirate. He's a sensitive, peaceful soul who detests the violence of his age and tries to wrestle with his conscience to find another way of dealing with the injustice of what has happened.
Yeah, it's a big sword fight. It says so.
But he's no good at sword fighting, and he loses. He hates violence. Don't you understand? You haven't played it club ball.
What?
What Jonathan means is that Hamlet is a thinker, not a doer. To him, violence is a very last resort. So, do you think that you could do that line again, as if you were saying it to yourself?
Oh, right.
When you're ready.
I just did it.
Yes. When I said to yourself, what I meant was...
Get off! Get off, you raving lunatic! You couldn't play Hamlet in a million years. You're an insensitive, ignorant, unintelligent Nathaniel. Get out! Get out!
So I didn't get the part then?
Get off! Get out of my sight!
Thank you, Richard. That was great.
I thought you said I didn't get the part.
No, but great attempt.
Didn't you see? Didn't you hear? He's a buffoon. Playing the back end of Daisy was too difficult for him.
Jonathan, keep your cool. You didn't explain about Hamlet to him. How do you expect him to understand? He doesn't have your extensive background in the arts.
I suppose so, but...
So, who's next? Hello? Where are you?
Here.
Do you want to come out onto the stage where we can see you?
All right. Hello.
Hello. And you are?
Ophelia.
Sharon.
What?
It's Sharon and she's auditioning for Ophelia. Oh, I give up. God help us.
Well, you certainly look the part. Do a twirl for us, Sharon. Oh, yes, indeed, you certainly look the part. Do you have any lines for us?
Oh no, I didn't learn any lines, but I thought I'd mime them.
Mime it. Shakespeare is the greatest wordsmith who ever lived, and she wants to mime it.
Master Jonathan, patience. Go right ahead, Sharon, we're watching.
Are you insane? You can't mime Ophelia.
Oh, Jonathan, let her do it. Wow, she's got personality.
Depends on what parts of it you're looking at.
Oh, yes, I see it. The innocent virgin appalled by her father's accusations of impropriety.
Really?
And now the lusty, wanton creature, desperate for desire for her unattainable young prince. Oh, yes.
Of course.
And now the conflict between her duty and her desire. Should she kill herself? Should she prostitute herself for love? Who can she turn to? No one. And in the final throes of heroic struggle in her conscience, she drowns inevitably. Bravo! Bravo! Excellent portrayal!
You are insane. She hasn't got two brain cells to rub together.
No, but she does have other things.
I don't believe this.
Thank you, Sharon. That was most interesting.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you, Sharon. I'll see you a little later, I expect. I'd like to discuss your interpretation.
I'm speechless. What are you thinking of? Sharon couldn't play Ophelia if you paid her.
If you were of the opinion that these people couldn't play the parts, why did you write them in?
Oh, really?
Next, please. And you are?
I'm Barney. Well, we met the other day. Can you hear me all right?
Of course. Perfectly. Now, you're auditioning for the part of?
Thought I'd try for Hamlet.
So, Barney, what do you want to give us?
Well, I thought we could have a chat about the characters of Hamlet and so on, and maybe some lines afterwards.
Fine, Barney. What do you think, Jonathan?
Oh, if you must.
So, Prince Hamlet, how do you feel about Ophelia?
All women become like their mothers. That is their tragedy. No man does. That is his.
Is that supposed to be clever?
It is perfectly phrased, and quite as true as any observation in civilized life should be.
So you believe that because Ophelia's mother is dead, she has no choice but to commit suicide? Interesting. And you as the son cannot follow the paths of corruption and wickedness as you perceive your mother has done. How do you feel about your mother?
To lose one parent may be guided. Sounds both looks like carelessness.
So the truth of the matter is that you blame yourself not only for your father's death, but also the loss of your mother to your uncle Claudius.
The truth is seldom pure and never simple.
So your relationship with Ophelia, what were your intentions?
The only way to behave to a woman is to make love to her if she is pretty, and to someone else if she's plain.
So detached and cynically callous.
The truth isn't quite the sort of thing one tells a nice, sweet, refined girl. What extraordinary ideas you have about the way to behave to a woman.
The arrogance of kingship. Excellent! So how do you feel about your murderous Uncle Claudius?
I love hearing my relations abused. It is the only thing that makes me put up with them at all. Relations are simply a tedious pack of people who haven't the remotest idea of how to live, or the smallest instinct of when to die.
Marvellous, marvellous. What did you think, Jonathan? He seems to have gone to sleep, but I'm sure that's no reflection on your improvisation, Barney. I thought it was great.
It was wild.
Yes, it was great.
No, it really was wild. It was awesome.
Yeah, right. I think we found our Hamlet, Jonathan. Jonathan?
But it was Oscar Wilde.
I don't pretend to understand it.
No, mate.
No, me.
You never do.
What are we talking about?
Why Barney got the part of Hamlet, in spite of the fact that he spouted complete and utter nonsense throughout the whole of his audition.
And we never got to the lines I prepared.
Which word?
Is this a dagger I see before me? The handle towards my sword. Come, let me grasp thee, etc., etc.
Oh, that was good.
Maybe, but from the wrong play.
Why, I didn't know.
No, of course not.
Yes, and of course why Christine didn't get the part of Ophelia.
Oh, the reasons were obvious, I would have thought.
You did say Jonathan had fallen asleep by that point.
Oh yes, he was snoring beautifully.
So it was definitely Alistair's decision.
No doubt at all.
Interesting, wouldn't you say?
Oh, very. But of course, casting Richard as Horatio was perfect. A man of few words and much action.
I thought it was perfect for Hamlet. The guy is obviously a serial killer, so I played it to the hilt.
Yes, but Jonathan was still awake at that point.
Yeah, it was first on.
Interesting indeed.
And the fact that he gave Gertrude to Doris.
Oh, do you think I'll be able to do it?
Just play it like you played that detective in the Agatha Christie plays we did.
What? The Belgian one?
If you must.
I'm not sure I can do a Belgian accent. What do they sound like?
Exactly like Hercule Poirot, Doris.
Oh, I think I'll go and practice. I still think Aggie should be doing it. You're not upset, are you, dear?
Oh, I'm fine. Apparently I'm playing Rosencrantz. And Guildenstern. And Fortinbras. And the whole of the Norwegian army so far.
Isn't that going to be a tad difficult if they all appear together?
It's not my problem, dear. It's obviously going to be some sort of surreal dream sequence.
How does Doris really feel about Gertrude?
Confused, Jack. I tried to explain Gertrude's motivation, but as soon as I mentioned lust, she came over all unnecessary. I was going to say lust for power. I hadn't even got on to the sexual politics.
Oh, well, it'll be interesting and exciting for her. Has anyone read the final version yet?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I stayed up for hours reading it last night.
I'm ashamed to say I haven't read it yet.
Don't panic, Jack. He hasn't made the ghost the main character. In fact, you don't appear at all.
Not surprisingly for a ghost.
Good.
Didn't you want to be on the telly then, Jack?
No, not particularly. It's the publicity I'm after. The local paper is sending someone round to talk to me tomorrow. And having Alistair involved is very useful. The local BBC radio station rang me to ask about doing an interview this very afternoon. So it's all hotting up nicely.
Excellent news, Jack. Maybe it won't be the disaster we were all expecting after all.
Jack, have you seen the news?
No, should I have?
It's the theatre.
And what about it?
It's burned down.
What?
Down to the ground, according to this report.
Things really are hotting up, aren't they?